So we're back with our video concerning drawing a circle graph. And if you remember from the first video, the 0 to 600 represents the amount of profits from a company. And what we did was we compared that to the 0 to 100% relative to the percent chart, which then is compared to 0 to 360, which gives us the number of degrees for the circle graph. So we're dealing with three things. We're dealing with the profits, the percent, and the degrees. So let's look at, again, the three numbers that we saw in our first video. We're going to look at $150 in profits, $180 in profits, and $270 in profits. And the question is, how do we draw a circle graph for these three amounts? Let's look at the first one. The first one is $150. So the profits are $150, and that is in the same position as 25%, and that is in the same position as 90 degrees. So, since the profits were 600, we know that 150 is related to 600 in the same way that 25% is related to 100%, in the same way, or in the same position, that 90 degrees is related to 360 degrees. So, $150 in profits will give us an angle of 90 degrees. So again, we draw our angle of 90 degrees. 90 degrees, we'll cut the circle right there, and we draw the angle. So this is going to be 90 degrees, and it represents $150 of the profits. Now let's go to the next profit, which was $180. So we have $180. $180 is in the same relative position as 30%, which is in the same relative position as 108 degrees. So we have $180 out of the $600 in profits, and that is in the same position as 30% is to 100%, and that's in the same position as 108 degrees is equal to 360 degrees. So we now have 180 is in the same position relative to 600, as 30% is in the same position relative to 100, as 108 degrees is relative to 360 degrees. So now we can draw our angle of 108 degrees to represent our 180 degrees in profits. So our angle of 108 degrees is approximately there. And this is going to be 108 degrees, and it's going to represent $180 in profits. And finally, the last number we're going to look at will be $270 in profits. If you look at 270, that is opposite the 45%, which is in the same relative position as 162 degrees. So 270 is in the same relative position to 600 as 45% is to 100%, as 162 degrees is to 360 degrees. So $270 in profits will be represented by an angle of 162 degrees. And when we look at our circle now and go to draw an angle of 162 degrees, it turns out that that angle ends right here. And so this is the line that goes from here to here and here to here represents 162 degrees, and that's going to represent $270 in profits. So the way we figure out the profits and the degrees that they represent will be to set up three proportions, all relative to each other. One for the profits, which is in the right column, one for the percent, which is in the middle column, and one for the degrees, which is in the left column. And this is the way you find the number of degrees that will represent each of the profits here. And that's what we call constructing a circle graph.